Dillian Whyte takes on Oscar Rivas on July the 20th, the O2 Arena. My thoughts, my view on the fight, and my prediction. So first of all, I'm going to just go through both fighters' last performances and just kind of assess what they're coming in their last fight to this fight and the mindset and kind of how they're thinking. Dillian Whyte's last performance was against Derek Chisora. It's been a long layoff. That was December. So it's been a couple of months since he's fought, but he's been in the gym. But people were concerned about Dillian Whyte's weight in the press conference for the Oscar Rivas fight. He looked very big, not muscular big, fat big. But I expect him to cut that down. That was a couple of months ago, so he should have got back to weight. He weighed in 17.8 against Derek Chisora. I expect him to weigh a bit more heavier. I think he'd want to be a bit more physically dominant because Rivas is a small guy, but he is muscular, and I think he will try and make it a bit physical where he can in this fight. The Chisora fight, he showed good stamina. He paced himself. I do think he was overthinking a bit more about the last round in the Parker fight where he got dropped. I think that was mainly due to stamina than the power. So I think he was just being a bit over cautious because to a lot of people it looked like he was being too calm in the fight. Even going up to the 11th round, the judges had Chisora winning. So yeah, he had to pick up the pace a bit, I felt, but he showed good stamina. Nevertheless, he showed good stamina. He very good counter punching in the first couple of rounds early in the fight. He hit Chisora, hurt him early in the fight. So the right hand's coming across good. He's becoming sharper, and he showed a lot of improvements in his last fight. But I feel he needs to make sure he doesn't complicate, and we worked out a bit more. I don't think he needs to complicate his punches. I think he needs to keep it sound and not look for the stoppage too early. He needs to be confident and just take his time. And I think in the Chisora fight, he showed that. He can show that he hurt Chisora early, but he can take his time. He can hold up his power late in the fight. And he can show good movement fighting back, which he did do quite well. Chisora did have good spots. And again, to people that don't know boxing that well, he looked like he was dictating the fight, Chisora, because he was pushing Whyte back on the ropes a lot and was throwing good body shots. A couple of low blows, but here and there. But you know how it goes. So ultimately, Whyte had a good last fight. You know, he dominated Chisora. It was a close fight. You know, there was moments where Chisora was outworking him. He was getting outworked, but showed good improvements, and ultimately got the knockout in the 11th round. So Oscar Rivas, his last performance was against Bryant Jennings. Rivas started strong, established a very strong, stiff jab, pushing Jennings back. Kind of overwhelming Jennings. You know, he would get Jennings on the ropes here and there, but Jennings was showing good movement. Rivas was coming forward. She was showing aggression. I gave him in the first few rounds to Rivas because he was just the person doing more work and was outworking Jennings. But coming to rounds 7, 8, and 9 and 10, Rivas notably slowed down. It wasn't at a fast pace. It was quite a slow and dry fight, to be honest with you. But then Jennings started picking off Rivas and started taking a bit more and establishing the jab. He was taking over in the fight, and I felt I was quite worried about that stamina because that was really seemed tired. Even when he was going back to his corner, he looked exhausted. But nevertheless, in the 12th round, he pulled it back, and you know, with very powerful, sharp counter punches, destructively destroyed Rivas, destroyed Jennings, dropping him a couple of times, and ultimately getting the stoppage in the 12th round. It was fairly close going into the 12th. I had Rivas winning a little bit because Jennings, even though Jennings was winning the last few rounds, he wasn't doing them overly to completely take the rounds, but he was doing enough to look like he was controlling the fight. I think Rivas showed good punch variety, showed a good strong jab, showed good counter punching, and showed good body work on the ropes. If he gets you on the ropes, he will hunt for you. Good accuracy. Jennings didn't really hit him clean, so I couldn't talk about the chin area. So far he looks hard to hit because he tucks up quite well. And when Chisora did tuck up quite well and bobbed and weaved, he gave Dillian Whyte problems in his last fight. So maybe that's something that Oscar Rivas will put into his camp. The bobbing and weaving and putting a tight guard up. But yeah, ultimately it was a decent performance from Oscar Rivas. His best win by date, but showed poor stamina, which I was quite worried about. And Dillian Whyte tends to I don't know if he will in this fight. I mean, his last fight didn't, but in most fights he tends to overwork himself. He throws good jabs, but he does well. But to do that for 12 rounds, I mean, against Hellenius he did it a lot, but Hellenius wasn't really punching back, so he just had someone to tee off on and was throwing a hell of a lot of punches each round to the body and head. So he does like to work fast and prefers to fight in a fast atmosphere where there is not a lot of boxing to be shown, but more just outright hunt and grit. So he may want to push Rivas to that limit, and I do think if he does, Rivas will tire extremely early from what he's already shown. Carries a lot of muscle. I think he's like 230 and he's about 6 foot. This isn't a Mike Tyson. He's a person who's built big already. This guy looks like he's quite a small guy and has put a hell of a lot of weightlifting and doing a lot of weightlifting exercises to push up his physical structure. But anyway, both their performances were good. Roads to victory for each fighter. I think Dillian Whyte needs to establish a double jab. His double jab is pretty good. It's very underrated. Did well against Parker to push him at bay. And I feel like, I think I read somewhere that Rivas suffers with eye problems, or he has an eye problem or something like that. So the best thing to hurt Rivas is obviously to slap him in the eye with a jab, which I think Dillian Whyte will do very well with a double jab. So he needs to do that. Set traps. With Derek Chisora, he didn't set a lot of traps, but he was good with his variety of punches. He hit to the body well, good combinations. The left hook, the right hand counters were quite crisp. So he's got to set traps because Rivas can sometimes end up fighting very. He'll get into a zone and just continuing like that and not really change anything up. So Dillian Whyte's gonna have to press different styles and different combinations and different punches to get Rivas out of there and hurt him. Take center stage. He's got to take center. He's got to be the person pushing the fight. If it does go points, you don't want it to be a very close or subjective fight. You want him to make sure you're in the pocket and that he's pushing back and you're pushing it back and you are taking the center and establishing the punch first. He needs to set a high pace mid-rounds. Yep. So if he start, I do think Dillian will start slow and Rivas will start fast, just because of the styles of the fighters. But if Rivas hasn't got him out early, I believe that Dillian should start pushing the tempo going into the 5th, 6th round and start hurting Rivas to the body and really giving out them quick jabs and counters. And yeah, just ultimately I think a strong jab should be able to nullify Rivas' attacks and keep him at distance, because Dillian Whyte has got a big reach advantage. He is taller than Oscar Rivas, so should use that in the fight to take control and to ease through and get a victory. Oscar Rivas' road to victory, he needs to start fast. Try to push Dillian Whyte to the ropes, go through the body quite well. I think he needs to hit Dillian to the body a lot and he needs to do a lot of combinations. Oscar Rivas has a very good sharp jab, which I think will be good to press Dillian back if Dillian does try to establish his own jab. I think Rivas has to give good counters. He needs to be quick. I think speed, in terms of Rivas' hand speed, has to be vital in this fight for him to get the victory. He needs to show good hand speed and make sure that he is always first to the punch, and when Dillian Whyte fight throws, he is tucking up and keeping his guard strong. He needs to take center and hurt Dillian to earn his respect. He needs to hurt Dillian early, I feel like, and I feel like Rivas will come in and will have some good moments early in the fight, because he will come in fast and push Dillian Whyte to the ropes. So you get him on the ropes, hit him with a good body shots, hit him to the back of the side of the head, the front of the head. Just start quick, but not overly quick where you take a lot of energy out of yourself, because we've seen in the Brian Jennings fight that Oscar Rivas can sometimes overdo himself and end up putting himself bad in the mid-rounds if he hasn't got you out early, because a lot of his knockouts are quite early. In terms of how I see this fight going, I think it's going to be a great fight. I think people are sleeping on this fight in terms of how good it's going to be. I think it's going to be action-packed. Dillian Whyte, we can know, has got a good left hook and good power. I think Rivas has to do a lot. Rivas does not show a lot of head movement, which is a bit worrying, because to beat Dillian, you need to make sure you've got a lot of movement on your body, upper body. And I believe that Rivas is a bit too stiff to avoid Dillian's punches. So we're now going to move on to him having a good chin, hopefully, for him to keep up. If not, if he hasn't got a good chin, it could be a quick night. I expect Dillian to start a bit slow and just to ease his way and kind of feel out how good Rivas is. But I believe in the mid stages he will up in the tempo and should either get a decisive points win or stop Rivas. I'll do my prediction in a bit after the video. In terms of Rivas, I see him starting quick, throwing good combinations, good sharp counters, a good enough jab to push Dillian back, Physically, I do think Dillian is a stronger guy because he's just a bigger heavyweight, so he should be able to push Rivas back physically. But don't underestimate Rivas because he is a muscular guy. He goes to, obviously does a lot of weightlifting and a lot of gym work, so he is a big muscular unit and will cause Dillian Whyte problems in the center and in the pocket as well, in that sense of it. In terms of my prediction for this fight, I'm gonna go with a Dillian Whyte 9th round KO. I think he will stop Rivas in the 9th. That's my prediction. I'm going from what I've seen already. I've seen Dillian Whyte put guys down that are tough, and I feel like if he can dictate a pace where he's hurting Rivas the first 5 rounds, and kind of Rivas has good success maybe in the 6th, but I feel like Dillian should wrap it up in the middle rounds because Rivas will start to slow down and Dillian will automatically just pick shots off. People have said of Dillian Whyte's stamina. I think he has good stamina. He's got way better stamina than Rivas because he can pace himself. My problem is I don't think Rivas can pace himself to an extent of lasting a whole fight at a fast pace and not be tired. So we're going to see. I'm looking forward to it. That's my prediction. 9th round KO Dillian Whyte. Let me know what your thoughts on this fight. And yeah, I'm out. Like and subscribe.